Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of the Hemingway Jones Pen Show, where today I'm actually excited to welcome a guest. So, I like to do interviews from time to time and bring some interesting people and really interesting storytellers or people that bring certain expertise to the channel so that we can discuss things with them and share sort of their journey with us as well. So I have been binge watching a channel, Amusing Aida, who is another YouTube channel who is absolutely brilliant at telling stories, synthesizing different things, and sort of presenting multi-level narratives. So it's a lot of really interesting content that in some ways is similar to mine. So I thought it was a nice synergy, but it's probably better that I have her tell you about it. So let's see if we can, through the magic of technology, bring her into this conversation. But let me introduce her. Amusing Ada is another YouTuber who does lots of really interesting content. She's based in Paris and all around Europe. So really interesting stuff. So please join me in welcoming Ada. I think you're in the show, Ada. Can you hear us?
Hi. Yes, very barely actually. This is the problem with technology, isn't it? I'm trying to figure this out.
I
This is
know
why I
it.
have my wine. Hello?
All right. Hold on. Let me just make sure we have you.
Okay.
Okay. No, I have wine too. I mean, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon for me, but I'm having a Vium Riesling. So I have an Alsatian Riesling. So
Oh, lovely. That's gonna be really good. Sorry about the cat in the middle.
no, we encourage cats. I have a cat too, but she's upstairs, so no problem there. What's your cat's name?
This is Calvin
Mhm.
because he's a very bratty boy.
Nice, nice, very good.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so people are saying they can't see you, so let me see if I can figure
Okay.
this out. Um,
Okay.
hmm. Sorry, guys. It wouldn't be my show if we didn't mess up the technology a bit. There we go. Now we can see you in all your glory, but actually we can mostly see Calvin. So
Sorry. Calvin, get up.
this is one of those times I'm glad that after you post these lives, you can lop off like the first minute or so after a day because there's usually some kind of issue with integrating the technology. But welcome to the
Yeah.
channel. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is so unexpected and, well, exciting. I've never done anything like this before, so it
Well,
should
I'm,
be
I'm
fun.
glad. I think you probably will as you go along because I'm expecting your channel to really blow up. You've had some great
Thank you.
success with a few videos, especially your "What It's Really Like to Live in Paris" video. I'm
Oh
probably
yeah.
messing up the title. You got 95,000 views on that. That's pretty
I
brilliant.
know. It was a real like surprise for myself, actually. I mean, I thought it would do good, do well, but I didn't think it would do just so well.
Yeah, I mean
Because
that's viral. So
yeah,
congratulations. You know. So let me ask you a question.
you
So
never
coming
come to me. What is going
right.
on right now?
He's giving you moral support, you know. So, what was that like? I mean, when you wake up one day and you see, all this different activity and it's exponentially growing, and I'm sure you added a lot of subscribers through that. And what
Yeah.
was that whole experience like?
Well, I mean, um, the whole editing of that took forever.
Mm,
And if you really think about it, it's basically three videos shortened into one, really
yes.
jammed in. And so we put that out. The first few days, nothing went on. I thought, okay, this is going to be just like the other ones. And then suddenly it took off. I think YouTube uh, gifted me with some views,
Well, it's a really good
and it was
video. Absolutely.
yeah, thank you. I like to keep doing more viral things like that.
Sure.
But at the same time, I really want to do things that I feel passionate about, or
Mhm.
really I'm interested in myself. I mean, it's easy to understand what the data is and what people are looking for, but that's not my goal at all. So,
Yeah, I was going to
um,
actually let me, if you don't mind me interrupting a little bit, just because you're
no.
touching on something that when I was watching it, I was imagining because I would love to have one that had 95,000 views, but there's that pressure now, right? Because I would imagine you're like, okay, now I got to be, Ada in Paris, like Emily in Paris, like they want that, like, exactly. They want that, like, the dissonance between what it's like to really be here and everyone's expectation. So, should I copy that model each time? Now, I clearly see that you did not because you followed that up with the
No.
Proust video, but there must have been a little bit of that pressure that, well, should I?
Well, Hemingway. The thing is that I started the channel for fun,
Sure.
actually. So it was really just for me. And I didn't even like send links to my friends. No one, actually, very few of my friends still know about it.
Right.
But and the thing was that I saw there were all these videos out there, and I thought, okay, I can do something about Paris, which makes me go out and enjoy Paris more than I would normally, being the hermit that I am. And I went out and I shot a few videos, but I really didn't think that I'm going to make this into a channel that has to, hit all the notes that people are looking for. I'm definitely not Emily in Paris.
No, no,
And I didn't
God
want to be
forbid.
that person. Also, I honestly just put out what I wanted to see, being a traveler myself.
Mm.
And the channel actually started with a different name, which was Aida's Travel Secrets,
Oh,
because
okay.
I just wanted to share that part. And
All right.
slowly,
Can you hold that thought? Because I need to interrupt again now that you brought up your channel
sure.
name. Because I was thinking about your channel name, and I think it's really interesting because I found at least three riffs on your name. So
Yeah,
it's amusing because it certainly is amusing to watch it, and you learn a lot, and it's inspiring, and you want to be there and experience what you've experienced and are experiencing.
yes,
Then you are musing where you're sort of
yes,
thinking things over. But I think the third meeting for me personally is even more important because you and I spoke about this in email, and that's that you're like a muse, that you're inspiring others. So you're a musing Ada, and in a way,
yes.
you have inspired some of what I did. Um, I stole shamelessly the way you divide your chapters recently because
Yeah, nice, good.
because I really liked it and it just I thought it worked well and I used it for one of mine when it's
Right.
appropriate. But I even see like you have several styles. Like you're a lot like how I do it, where it's very much the video is the thing and it has to have its own life and its own means to come to life, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
right. But there are so many things I'm interested in doing and so many topics, and honestly, that's why I changed the name into Amusing Idea. Idea, Aida.
sure,
But sorry. Uh, but yeah, I just wanted to ask you something actually.
yeah, please.
Why did you like my channel? Like, what brought you in? I mean, I know that the first video you watched was the one about Proust, which
Yes.
that's my favorite one too. But I'm interested to hear your side.
Well, sure. And as I'm watching YouTube, and perhaps you do this as well, you're sort of watching and enjoying, but you're also looking for how it's done, and you really
Mm.
respect people that pull something off, especially something that's difficult, because a lot of
Yeah.
YouTube is very like. I'm going to take a television, put it out in the field, and blow it up, and then you get like 300,000 views. So then here
Yeah.
comes this very expressive person who lives in Paris that's talking about Proust. That's a really tough plane to land safely. You could easily crash and burn there. And I was like, wow, she did a fantastic job on this. I'm like, and I also like how the thing is not the thing in your videos, which is similar to mine because like I do pen videos and my content's about pens, but it's really
Yeah.
overall from the pen everything. So it brings in other things from philosophy to how to handle depression and how to survive and how to thrive as a person. But it all
Yeah.
starts with writing and journaling and expressing yourself. So I I saw your video, and from there I stopped on your bookshelf, and as I am apt to do, and people do it to me all the time. So because I'm always filming in front of my books, but
Yeah.
you have some interesting books that we share in common, and they're not.
Really? Oh my
Yes,
God.
yeah, and I'm really sorry if I'm intruding, but it's just you know.
No, please tell me.
I saw you have a Churchill, uh, some kind of Churchill biography. I couldn't quite make out, which is interesting because the channel has just done a whole like season of Churchill here. So
Oh,
right
really?
there, I was like, wow. You have the A. Hotchner Hemingway biography. So, and you know, I have a bunch of Hemingway books you can see right here, you know, and up there. And of course, my name is based on Hemingway. So
Yeah.
I saw that. But the big one was The Secret History by Donatello,
Uh-huh.
which
I love that book.
I love that
And
book.
I love that your channel has this side of, dark academia sort of aesthetic to it,
Thank you.
because that's something I really, really actually enjoy.
Wow.
I
I
love
wish
that
if you
thing.
were here, we could do what I'm about to film. We could do together. And I'm
Uh-huh.
going to
Oh, I
do
love.
the 5 fountain pens for dark academia. That's my next video
Oh.
idea. I have the script written and I'm ready to go. So it's
Right.
interesting that you bring it up. But see, that's what I mean. Like there's a weird confluence about how you and I approach things. So
Yes.
I guess you call it like kindred spirit, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of what I felt. And then I was like, wow,
Which
this
is
is really
funny
neat.
that you two brought us together. It's that a person that I would normally never meet or even have, any interaction with. It's yeah,
Yeah, YouTube will do that. It's
strange
a
world.
funny beast, you know. And I was a little nervous about reaching out, but I was very much looking for people that I could interview and bring on and kind of expand the circle because I think it's really great that we talk a lot about pens and journals on the channel, but I think the bigger story and the bigger question is story and storytelling. And I think you do
Right.
that masterfully.
Thank you.
Sure, sure.
Actually, I watched your channel and I thought, oh, this guy, the way he dresses, the way he talks, the way his hair is done, you're basically a walking fountain pen.
Oh, geez. Thanks. Well, there's a kind of a stereotype for fountain pen guys, you know, like middle aged guys, kind of like, yeah. But, well, you know,
So, if you were to be a fountain pen, which type would you be?
ooh, that's a good question. I think I'd like to be a Mont Blanc because they're like very, you know, stylish and sophisticated, but I'm probably wacky enough that I'd end up in the Visconti area.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And
Well, I wouldn't know the names. I have to tell you, I'm really illiterate about that.
it's okay.
I know Mont Blanc, but because it's Mont Blanc, and I
Sure.
actually thought to myself before, should I say that? Because what if it's like a Rolex versus other types of watches, which is like, oh, okay.
No,
But
you can say anything you want. I mean, it's hard to. I have pretty thick skin, and besides, I'm a YouTuber, and I read all my
yeah,
comments. So believe me,
yeah.
I've heard everything. People make fun of the way I speak. The biggest thing is my
Oh
eye.
no.
Yeah, so I get it all. So it's okay, you know.
Right. So, do you get a lot of trolls yourself? Because mm, just because I've only
Yeah.
started like 6 months ago, but
Oh yeah.
it's
They come in
interesting to see how
seasons.
that will.
They
Sorry?
come and they sometimes come and I would say the people that are into my channel have created this really safe, wonderful place. You know, like my growth
Yeah.
has been really slow. I've been doing it a year and a half, and you know, I have like 4,700 subscribers, which is, you know, I'm proud of it, and I do it
You
for a
should be.
small group of people. Thank you.
Yeah.
But the people that follow this channel are so lovely. You know, one of the things we're doing now is like a pen pal exchange with the members of the channel, and I'm getting to know them
Oh,
all personally, and it's just like it's really amazing. So, kind of when people get out of line in the comments, they sort of learn quickly that we're just not that kind of channel.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
like
But
culture's not there.
but you actually send each other letters,
Yes,
handwritten letters.
yes.
How lovely! This is the sort of thing that never happens anymore.
Really. And you
Yeah,
should see them. I mean, some of them are in vintage stationery. Some of them have wax seals. People.
lovely.
Yeah, there's somebody named Ali J who has this incredible paper folding skill like I've never seen. It's like origami in a square, and it's just amazing. So
Right.
yeah, it's been really amazing.
That is so touching, as that kind of human interaction. I haven't actually. The only time ever received a handwritten letter was many lives ago. I was a teacher, and
Oh
I
wow.
taught adults. There was this gentleman who was probably in his 40s, 50s, and turned out later on that he was a big artist, but I
Oh
didn't know at the
wow.
time. And we were talking about letters, and I said, it's awful that we never, give each other letters anymore. And he literally sent me a letter. And it was a beautiful letter that he had written with his family, and it was really long and like amazing handwriting. And it was so touching, but I
Yeah.
never received one afterwards.
But see, that's one of the major themes of the channel is that these things that you craft yourself, like
Yeah,
handwriting, people cherish. You probably still
yeah.
have that letter somewhere stuck in a book.
Somewhere, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's hard to just discard something means so much to you.
Well, yeah, but I have to tell you, as someone who travels a lot and who has like lived in half a dozen countries,
Mm,
it's really hard to keep things.
yeah.
That's one of the things that is the downside of it because every time I move somewhere, I move with one or two bags because I'd rather buy things than to, drag things along with myself. And so you need to really keep on doing that spring cleaning all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And it's hard because if you don't have a base, then you don't really have a space to collect things. So
Sure.
that's something that I regret about moving around so much.
Well, I mean, this is part of your journey. Your journey may
Yeah.
change at some point. You might end up with all this YouTube money. You might be able to buy a country house in Provence or something, and that's where you'll keep all your books.
Yeah. Well, I hope so. I hope
Yeah.
at some point it starts making money. I mean, thankfully, I actually started the channel thinking, okay, it'll probably take me around a year and a half to hit and probably like around 100 videos to hit the watch hours and the numbers that I need in order to get monetized. Somehow I got monetized in 4 months with 12 videos,
Yeah, that's great. That's
which is
fantastic.
it was a shock to myself.
Right. Well,
Um,
that
but I'm
video.
trying.
That's a lot of
but
watch time,
thank you.
and the ones that
But
follow.
I'll have to see. I hope it starts making money, and so that I could do this for real.
Sure.
Because well, my normal job has nothing to do with this, and I'm not working at the moment, so I can do this sort of thing. But yeah,
Yeah,
I hope it
I get
makes
it. I mean,
enough money for me
similarly,
to be able to do that.
I'm in banking as a daytime job, so
Ah,
I'm using the cracks of my life to do this. It's like Saturdays, I film Friday nights, and then I
mm,
edit Sunday, and then I work all
mm,
week. So it's like,
wow.
yeah, but it's fun,
It's
and
a passion, isn't it? Yeah,
it
because
is,
it's
it
a
is,
hobby in on its own.
it really is, and for me, I really love the live show. Like I do a live show every Tuesday night because you have
Yeah.
that direct
Oh,
access
yeah, that's
to people.
lovely.
Yeah, it's super
And I
fun.
haven't been looking at the comments at all.
Well, we have some.
Sorry. I'm
That's okay.
This
I've
is
been putting.
weird because I'm trying to look at the camera so that it looks like I'm talking to you directly,
Sure.
which is strange, which is why you keep seeing me
Yeah.
look here or there because I'm not looking at the monitor at all.
Yeah, well, it's okay because they put it side by side anyway with the way it'll come out to them. So, it's all relative for the eye line of sight. So just do the best you can, but don't worry.
So how many people have joined us today? That's
Looks like we
I'm
have
just
34
curious.
right now. I'm sure people are coming and
Wow,
going.
that's
Um,
lovely.
I usually get anywhere from like, 6 to 1,000 that'll watch it, mostly on the replays. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's nice. So
Oh,
it's nice
oh,
they
that's
can
nice.
come check your channel out. We got your description, your link in the description, so they can come check you out too. So
It's lovely. Thank you so much for showing interest being here,
yeah,
everyone. I mean,
yeah, no
I
problem.
didn't expect this at all.
Oh, it's super fun. I'm sure you'll do a lot. You may be doing this yourself one day. If you decide to go
I
out.
hope so. This is my first time, so hopefully I'll figure out the logistics and start maybe doing some stuff myself. Yeah.
Oh,
But
sure.
I was thinking maybe I'll do some cooking bits because I'm quite good at cooking.
I know it's
And I've put a little bit of cooking at the end of each video. I didn't want to make it a cooking video, but
yeah.
maybe I'll do some
I was
cooking.
watching that, and it's interesting because I see everything in sort of philosophical terms. So I'm going to
Yeah,
overanalyze that now.
sure.
So I was thinking it's interesting how you have an experience like a Madeleine
Mm.
or the mussels, which by the way I love, but I discovered them in
Right.
Philadelphia, but that's a whole nother story. But and then you sort of have to consume it. It's almost like you're not just showing it, but you're bringing it in to yourself, into your person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's an
What?
interesting process. Your video is curious about something, it goes to see it, it describes it, and then it consumes it. And I think that
Yeah.
has like an excellent sort of story arc to it.
Yeah. Well, I like that sort of thing. If I see something, I have to be creative, and because you want to hold on to that feeling, isn't it?
Sure.
Wherever you go, especially for me, because I've ended up living in places where I haven't had access to a lot of things. So I had to actually cooking for me was kind of that to bring a part of home, a part of a place I really liked, um, to where I was at that moment. So it was kind
Yeah.
of like traveling, but just through cooking, just through eating something to get that Proust phenomenon going.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. Um
yeah.
Francois says bonjour, Hemingway and Aida, enjoying the live. So
Ah, thank you. Bonjour, bonsoir for me, anyway.
yeah, it's
Actually, I saw something. I've got something here. I don't know if you're
sure.
interested, but I'm
Oh,
gonna give it a try. Did you know that Proust has a questionnaire
mm,
that yeah, so Proust has a questionnaire that he answered, I think, a couple of times in his life, and this questionnaire is sort of used to be like a drinking game. People would sit down and play it,
oh
and
sure.
it's supposed to show your most sincere, true self, right?
Okay.
And a lot of famous people have done this questionnaire as well. Like I read today on Wikipedia. I know, I'm sorry, but that Oscar Wilde has done it, and
Oh wow.
who's the guy who wrote Sherlock Holmes?
Arthur Conan Doyle.
The Yeah, thank you, Doyle. Yes,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
Cezanne and all that. So
Oh, very good. I'm
uh,
game. Let's do it.
Hemingway Jones. I'm
Sure.
gonna ask you a
Sure.
couple of these questions. I'm just gonna close my eyes and hit
Yeah,
one
no
of them.
problem.
Oh no, this is an awful question.
I know.
So, what is your idea of misery? What would be the
Mis-
greatest misfortune?
misery. The first thing that leaps into my mind for misery would be being on a cruise ship,
Mm,
like being stuck in a cruise ship where you have to wait in line for all your food. It's a crowd of people on the ship. You get to go to
right.
really interesting places, but only for about 3 hours or 5 hours.
Yeah.
And you have to get back on board. And all the
Yeah.
food is sort of like banquet food, like you'd get at some kind of lecture or something.
Yeah.
I'm not a cruise guy.
Okay.
So there's two images that pop in my head and they're kind of weird for misery. The first one is Disneyland. The
Oh,
second is cruise ship.
never been, so I wouldn't
Yeah,
know.
me neither. And I'm hoping to keep it that way.
So is it the crowds or is it that sense of like purgatory?
It's
where
the liminal space. Yeah, it's
okay,
purgatory and lack of control. And it's sort of
okay.
like teasing me. Like I was on a cruise once. I did a cruise once in my life. And I went to Belize and had an amazing adventure in Belize. I'm really grateful for that. But I would have rather just stayed in Belize the entire time.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I understand that.
And instead, I
Yeah.
was like, "You're back in the ship in time for dinner."
Yeah, no.
No.
I wouldn't be able to have anything prescribed like that for me, like in a very clear cadre when traveling. I have to be
Sure.
able to do what I want.
Yeah, open itinerary. And
Yeah.
you're a girl who has a motorcycle that's up in Brussels somehow. That's so, you know.
That's
You
not my motorcycle,
well, you
actually.
still have access to it. So you're like
But I have
James
access
Bond.
to it, yeah.
So it's very
I've
impressive.
gone around France with it
Mm.
a bit through the Alps and then down to the coast and back up. And
Oh, very
it's
cool.
a very unique experience. If someone is interested in motorbikes, I really, really recommend doing a tour through the back, roads of France.
Oh, that sounds so fun. So, so fun.
It's lovely. I
I
mean,
really do.
it's something I hated the idea of motorbikes at the beginning, but it's something that there's a liberty, a freedom to going around on the curbs,
Mhm.
which are very well done in France, I have to say. And you're going and you're smelling everything, all the greenery, the rain, cow shit,
Yeah, yeah,
everything.
house, sure.
And of course, you can, stop wherever you like because it's a tiny thing, and you can look around, and it's a lovely experience.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, it gets
And
closer, absolutely, and that's kind of what you
yeah,
want. You want that closer experience.
yeah, yeah,
How would
exactly.
how would you answer the question that you posed to me?
What would be my idea of misery?
Yes.
Um, oh, oh, that's a difficult question. Um, Probably. Uh, oh wow, this is deep. But simply because I've had this conversation with a friend recently, um, knowing that you're going insane, but
Ooh.
not being able to do much about it.
Oh wow.
Um,
Yeah.
and this was a conversation I had because of we were talking about a mental illness and how it is where if you know that it's something's wrong, but you can't quite tell whether or not you're falling off a cliff towards madness or not.
Oh
But
yes. Ooh, that's
anyway,
deep.
this is an awful question. I'm
Right?
gonna go
Yeah.
to
Let's go on to
another
the
one.
next question.
Okay, so this one is, um, what do you appreciate most in your friends?
In my friends, huh? Conversation. I think when you really click with someone and you just laugh and you're telling just really ridiculous jokes and you just have that sense of safety with really good friends that
Yeah.
you wouldn't want that conversation taped and broadcast on your YouTube channel.
Mm-mm.
But
Yeah,
what you do in private with good friends where you're just laughing so hard that
yeah,
you're crying. I love those moments. And they're too far in between in life.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. For me, I think it's the same thing. I think it's the idea of having a good. They're sort of a reflection of yourself, aren't they? They show you who
Yeah.
you really are,
Ooh,
and
that's good.
also
Yeah.
and the acceptance, because really good friends, even they will tell you where you're wrong or what your vices are, but they will love you nonetheless.
Oh, very
That's
nice. Very true.
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Should we do one last question? Just one.
Yeah, why not? They're fun.
Okay. Okay. All right. Your favorite prose authors. This is a good one. I like this question.
Oh, it's almost too easy because it's obvious from my name that like Hemingway's my.
Hemingway.
But and I think partially because I'm not a big fiction guy. I have a really tough time with fiction. I know. I have a really hard time with it, but that's part of the reason why I was so impressed with The Secret History. Because what happens
Yeah.
with me is I read, and if anything breaks the spell, I'm done.
Right.
And that's why I like a lot of nonfiction. You'll see there's a lot of nonfiction above me. Um,
Right.
and I'll give you, for instance, there was a really famous Tom Clancy, really famous American author, did a lot of like spy thrillers and Cold War stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he's writing this book, and it's like, the guy's getting out of the CIA. He drives down the road, and there's like this gorgeous girl on the side of the road, and she's hitchhiking. And then he picks her up, and they're like, have this romantic interlude and all that. And it's like, come on. I've seen
Yeah.
a picture of you on the cover, like, and even this character, like, that doesn't happen in real life. And I don't want to read like juvenile fantasies of some guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or whatever. Like, if there's anything like that, or if I read something and geography's wrong, or it really throws me out. I think I get a little too detail centered sometimes.
Mm.
And I
I
don't
could
get that.
probably suggest a few books where you don't get that feeling,
I would love it.
actually,
I
because
would love that.
I'm a huge fiction reader. I actually only read fiction.
Oh, go wow.
I can't, real stuff, not really my thing anymore.
Sure.
I love I love being able to live in fiction. So even if it
Ooh,
is a few
ooh,
hours
yeah.
during the day where I watch something or I read a book,
And you get into
I
the
love,
world.
yeah, diving into something different completely,
Yeah,
being
yeah. The
something
Secret
alien.
History did that. Like
Yeah.
I still miss Henry, and I'm still mad. And I feel like, well, if I had been there, I could have somehow straightened all that out. I could have
Yeah.
spoken to Bunny. I could have.
But but you know what? The, I don't know. I think I actually enjoy those kinds of things where it's just like slaps you in the
Right?
face, and the author is like, I don't care what you want. I'll just give you something completely different.
Yeah.
I
Such an
actually enjoy
immersive
that
world.
more. Yeah, yeah.
And and the other
But
one was do you ever read The Alienist? Caleb Carr.
no, isn't that a movie though?
It was a series. So it was about
Oh.
detectives that were going after this like Jack the Ripper like character in New York in the late 19th century. And the author
Mm,
ended up going on writing for the Sherlock Holmes what do you call it? Estate. The new
right,
ones that they create. So
right,
he's a
right,
really
right.
good writer. The book was so like page turny. You were just like he was very clever, and maybe we could use this in our videos. At the end of each segment, he would say something like, "And you won't believe what happened next," or and they never knew this was the last time they would see each other, and you're like,
Yeah.
keep
Okay.
reading,
Okay.
yeah, or whatever.
Right, right. Cliffhangers.
Yeah,
Okay,
little
I get it.
hooks. Yep, exactly.
Okay. This is good. I'm getting a bit more of an idea of what kind of book I can suggest to you.
Yeah, please
But
do.
no, but it depends. I mean, I'm a excruciatingly slow reader, um, because well, sorry, Calvin, my first degree, my first degree was in literature. So, I mean,
Ah,
I've grown. I've been trained to read every single word very carefully.
oh, okay.
So, and given that I'm a little bit OCD, I can't let it go. So, I have to keep going back. If I don't understand it, I have to keep going back. And I can't skim things. That's the thing.
No,
And
I was an English major too, by the way. I have
did you?
yeah, my
Did
degree's in
you?
English with concentration
Okay.
in linguistics, and I did a lot of Shakespeare and
Hmm.
whatnot. At Rutgers.
Yeah.
And
But
then
do
I
you
got
like
in.
Shakespeare? Really?
I do. I'm passionate about it. Yes, Shakespeare is life to
Um,
me. You have a complete
okay.
Shakespeare. I saw it. It's on your shelf.
Yeah, I know, but
You
it's
know, you
not
know
that.
how I use
Here's the
Shakespeare?
thing. As as they teach you, it's
Sure.
the right thing to say in these moments is, I can appreciate a masterpiece, but that doesn't necessarily mean I have to like it.
Oh, sure. I get that. Shakespeare's just interesting in that the more you dive in, there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to obsess over, and for me,
Yeah,
that's part of the fun. Like something like Hamlet, you
yeah,
sort of appreciate on so many different levels. And also for me, sometimes if I have an emotion I can't articulate and I'm
Mm.
feeling something, I find myself going to one of the plays. I'm
Right.
usually either Macbeth, Henry V, which I know really well, and
Mm.
Hamlet, something like that where I need that language to express it.
Right.
It's probably
Because they talk about life, isn't it? Like very real, tangible things.
well, he
Yeah.
really seemed to have an appreciation for a lot of things that ended up happening later, like
Mm.
psychoanalysis
Mm.
and trauma. Like a lot of these can
Yeah.
be, and trauma is kind of one of my reoccurring themes in my life, sadly, like kind of recovering from how
Right.
these things affect you and how you try to leave them
Mm.
behind and how you
Yeah.
give them a lot of power. Well, there's a lot of that in Shakespeare.
Yeah. Yeah. But does journaling help? Or
Yeah, I think so. I really do. I mean, I think the real utility of journaling is after you do it for many years, you can see
mm.
these cycles. And
Mm.
a lot of things that you
Yeah.
repeat in your life, you don't notice until you've read that, wait a second, that's just
That's
like what I
true.
did 2 years ago. It seems to accelerate self knowledge. So,
Right.
yeah, because the way I
Oh.
journal, and I don't know if you saw, I just recently did one at Walden Pond that was about journaling. I'm plugging my own videos here. So,
Please do.
but the way I journal, the idea is that you're describing like your inner landscape, your emotional topography. So it's how you feel, what kind of conflicts you had, how you resolve them, how effective you've been as a person on that inner level, the level that you don't always even tell your friends because it's in a book. No one needs see it unless you decide to share. So
Right.
so if you do that faithfully and you're strong enough to sort of embarrass yourself by being like, wow, I really kind of failed at how I interacted with my friend today. And I think I was just scared that she was going to leave. And so I acted, poorly or something like that. You go back and you read that 6 months later and you're like, oh, wow, yeah, I see, that's that thing I do.
Right.
I can handle that better next time.
That's true. I've often wondered about myself that in a lot of uh, things in life, I've kind of been like a goldfish because when there's no track record of things, you may forget. And the only thing you remember are the feelings you're left with. So you don't really remember the core of what happened.
Oh,
Just,
yeah. Yeah. They're also
yeah,
a
the
bit like
lingering
time
feeling.
machines. I think they're a
Yeah.
bit like a Madeline de Proust too, because it's like
Yeah.
there are times when I'll pick up an old one because I've been doing it. Well, I've done it sporadically my whole life, but since around
Mm.
1999, I have them. A lot of them got lost because I
Mhm.
was very peripatetic. I
Wow.
was moving around everywhere, but now I have them all. So, but sometimes I'll pick one up, and maybe I was in Venice while I wrote it, or somewhere, and I can smell like the room or the canal or something where I was when I wrote it. It takes me like right back to that moment, and sometimes even takes me into that mindset where
Right.
I'm sort of horrified, like I felt like that then, like I had that. You
But don't you get like embarrassed? I think for myself when I look at things from long ago, I'm always like, whoa, why did I look like that? Or why did I do that? Why
Yeah.
did I think that way? That's embarrassing.
Well, you would have the answers though. If you journaled, you'd have the answers as to like,
Well, I'm very judgmental on myself, so I don't
or-
I don't know maybe. I mean, just very recently, my mother gave me some photos of me when I was younger. And I looked at my, and at first I was like, ugh, I don't want to see what I looked like then. But then I realized, well, I pretty much looks very nice. Why did I not like myself at all? Or why do I still feel that way a little bit? That's a strange thing. Because I
right. See,
think,
that's a journal entry. And I think
yeah,
like the way I approach it and just to give you my perspective, it helps to accept yourself because you say, well,
mm,
it's like similar to me. I was a big rock and ice climber. I used
Mhm.
to be 155 pounds. I'm 6 foot 2, and I was
I'm
155.
sorry. You have to tell me what that is in centimeters because I have no
I don't know in centimeters. Jeez. Yeah, I'm slightly smaller than a door frame. I don't know. Somebody do the
clue.
math in the
Oh,
comments
that's
for
big.
me, if you would. Sorry,
Okay.
but so I'm tallish. I'm like the same height as Arnold Schwarzenegger because he's around that, and 155 pounds. Um,
So that's around what, 75 something
yeah,
kilos.
you see, okay, so let's just put it this way: I was really skinny and really tall, and at the
Okay.
time,
Yes, thank you.
yeah.
Now I get the image.
Sorry, we're America's way behind in the whole
No, it's
metric
just
system.
different. I mean, no, it's okay. You explained it perfectly.
Yeah,
Please
sorry
tell
about
me.
that. But like reading, I thought I was fat. Like I had this like body dysmorphia at the time where I'm like, oh, I'm so heavy. No wonder I'm not a good climber and all this. I weigh I weigh like a third more now, and I don't feel like
Right.
I'm fat. So it's just funny how you put these artificial parameters on yourself to judge yourself harshly. It's sort of like, for me personally, you come out of a chaotic childhood, you want to create chaos even when there isn't chaos. So you'll fashion it
Right.
from your own parameters of your life so that you can build a stick to hit yourself with.
Hmm. That's interesting. But it's interesting that you say that the more you grow, I think, at least for me, the more comfortable you get in your own skin. I've been musing about this lately, where it's like, I think the more time stared at my own reflection in a mirror, the more I've grown to appreciate it,
Sure.
than I used to. I mean, I didn't before. I used to think that I was very ugly.
Oh,
So,
crazy.
and I could find all these faults, and now it's just like, oh no, I look nice. I actually look pretty good today, or
Yeah.
you know, and I think that's the time that I've spent with my reflection that I've started to kind of embrace it after so long.
I'm sure
But
YouTube helps with that because you're editing yourself for hours.
I've realized things about myself which I I still can't, but I'm trying to correct. For example, that I have this word that I keep on repeating, which is
Uh,
Now it drives me crazy every time I hear myself
mm.
say that.
You ever edit it out? You ever separate your dialogue track and cut that?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's
Yeah,
first
because
I lay down the dialogue
I
and
get a
then
lot of
and then
pauses I take out because I'll do stuff where I'm like, and the pen is blue.
yeah,
And it's like, I like chop it up. So
yes, I had
CC,
to do that today actually.
yeah, right? But it takes longer. So CC Jacob says that 6'2" is about
Right.
1.88 meters.
Mashallah. Okay, that's a lot.
Okay, so, but yeah, but the
Yeah.
weight still is out there. But so,
No, it's not. I think that's very well, that's probably very skinny, like you said. Yeah, for that height.
So, what's the creative process like for you? Like, do you write scripts in advance, or you just get an idea
Yes.
and riff on it? Can you walk us through?
Um, so the thing is, I start thinking about something, and then I think about it some more, and then I start writing little notes here and there. Like I'm walking the dog in the street, and then I take out and I do it on my phone. So,
That's okay.
I
It's
take
all
a
about the
note.
writing.
Yeah, I take a note on, okay, maybe that's a good idea. Oh, maybe I can actually put that in. And I try to kind of give it a structure in my head, like this is where I would go, and then try and see how, um, it's almost like being a teacher also. It's like, how do you tell something so that it makes sense to someone
Mm.
and it makes them want to continue listening? And then I there's the script, and then you have to read the script, obviously, um, which is hard. because
Do you do it
you're
as a
trying to
voiceover?
read it.
Are
What?
you
Sorry?
dubbing? Do you dub yourself?
Yeah, yeah,
I thought you might, because I was saying, my wife and
yeah.
I were watching one of your videos, and I was saying, where's the street noise? Like, how is she? Is her
Yeah,
mic that good?
sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just
Gotcha.
say it in the street or something. But most of the time, I do the entire script just like that, just so I have a structure to go on from. And then there are parts and bits and pieces that I've set outside, and I bring those in. And there are other bits that are just, very natural things that I've said. Mm,
Yeah, because you
just
don't want
off,
it to
and
sound too
and I put
scripted,
it in.
right?
No, I
Yeah,
don't want it to sound too scripted, but if there is no script, then there is. I did that at the very beginning where there was no script, and there were just questions in my head, and we would, you know, say those things and then go back and forth, and it doesn't work. It
right.
just isn't refined enough, I find.
Yeah, I gotcha. I mean, I have
What?
ones.
How is yours though?
It's similar, but it depends. It's like there are a lot of things in the fountain pen world I can speak about extemporaneously, and that's why the
Mm,
live show does well. So I can dash
yeah.
off a review of a pen in about 15 or 20 minutes just speaking about it. Sometimes I'll go
Right.
back and forth, but then I can just snip that and organize it under, design, materials, what have you.
Mm, hmm.
But when I'm doing one of my, like, recently I did a journaling thing, which was the point of how I journal, which I just explained to everybody out there.
Mm,
But I also tied it in with Thoreau, and Thoreau writing at Walden Pond, which is the next town over from where I live. So I went
okay.
there and I did the whole thing. So that had to be a bit more structured. So I have the
Okay.
script for that. So it really,
Right.
once again, it's all in how that particular video lives. Like, I did this whole thing on in defense of handwriting and cursive writing
Mm,
in particular. And I had all this great B-roll that my family and I had from our little trip to this place called Hammond Castle in Gloucester, Mass, not too far from here. But it looks like a Game of Thrones location. It's really interesting.
mm.
And so
Ah.
I just synced it up to it, and it just worked brilliantly. It just was like perfect.
Oh, lovely. But you know what? It's funny that you talk about handwriting in defense of handwriting. I was just having this conversation lately because Chat GPT yourself.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
I've played with that a
So
bit. I
everyone's
asked it to write a pen
terrified of
review.
how it's going to take over everything, and
Yeah,
everyone's going to lose their jobs. And
right.
we're talking about it, and in relation to what you do, I imagine handwriting is going to come back because, especially at school, if you don't want to, be cheating, you have to write it yourself,
Oh,
write
yes.
handwriting.
Yep, very true.
And yeah, so maybe that would be something that will come back. I don't know. I hated it when they used to do that to us. I remember I was in fourth grade. Yes, I think it was fourth grade. And we were not allowed to use a pen or pencil, only fountain pen,
Uh,
only.
Yeah, I was
And
going
we
to
had,
ask. I was actually going to ask you if you had, because I know a lot of European educated people had to use fountain pens in what we call
I'm
primary
not
school.
European educated though.
Oh, you aren't? Okay. Sorry about that. Just
No,
because,
it's okay.
yeah. Well, wherever it was you were educated, people outside the U.S., let's say.
Hmm.
Because, I grew up, I was in grammar school in the 70s, and the desks with inkwells were still there, but no one was.
Mm,
So it was, 15 years prior when fountain
yeah,
pens kind of disappeared. But
yeah. Yeah, but I don't. I think they made us do it anyway because it was all a part of and we had calligraphy classes, so we had to write all the time. So it was important to have a good handwriting, at least in the school I was in. And I just remember because we didn't do the whole, dipping it in ink and all that. We
oh
had the
yes, the old school dip pens.
Yeah, like the bullet ones where you put in the ink
Sure.
and my memory of it is ink everywhere
Yeah, that's
in
pretty
my
accurate.
bag,
Yeah,
on my stuff. It would go everywhere. In
that
your,
could be pretty accurate
bag.
even still. It's funny though because like I'm old school. I have an inkwell on my desk.
Mm.
And this, I have to be careful. I show this one quite a bit because it's just Egyptian and really cool. It's actually fake Egyptian. If you look at it too closely, it's not quite right. But
Are
it's
you
full.
showing it? I'm sorry, I'm not seeing it on
Yeah,
the
sorry, I don't know
camera.
if you can make it out, but it's pretty cool. But it's full of ink, so I have to be very careful, or I will be wearing it.
Okay. There's a delay. Oh, now I see it. That's lovely. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Oh, the video has a little bit of a
Very nice.
delay. Gotcha. Maybe it's better you don't
Yeah.
look too closely over
No,
there. Might put you out of sync, you know. And if by the way, everyone who's out there, joined by, I should be pronouncing the A and the I, right? It's like
yes,
Aida.
yes.
Yes.
So I'm gonna tell you the story of my name.
Okay.
Actually, my name is in the correct pronunciation. No English speaker can say it.
Oh, wow.
So, so I just simply because I hate being called Ada
Right. Which I did
or
like three
being
times.
someone's, great aunt who smells like antiques.
Sure.
I, I much prefer because the idea behind my name was based on the opera. So I would much prefer being called
Ah,
Aida
Aida.
than the
Nice.
other.
Do you speak Italian too?
Not at all. No, sorry.
Oh, okay. I speak a
Spanish,
little
but
Italian,
not Italian.
like
No,
enough to just really either, if you don't speak Italian, you'd be like, wow, he speaks Italian. If you did speak Italian, people would say, oh my God, is he massacring Italian? But I can like
no.
speak enough to get in trouble.
Right. I don't speak Italian. I understand. I can understand Italian, given that I speak Spanish and French.
Oh, nice.
Um, so it's not that off. I can also understand Portuguese,
Oh, very nice.
but not very complicated things. Just I
Sure.
can just pick out words and kind of get the approximate feeling of where the conversation is.
Oh, that makes sense.
Mm.
Oh, good stuff.
So
Um,
you speak Italian a little bit. Do you speak anything else?
no, just Italian. My wife speaks French. So
Lovely.
that's how we get by. We go to Quebec a lot. Have you ever been to Quebec?
No, never. But
It's really
also,
fun. It's really
I
different.
don't know if I should say this because in Quebec they speak something. I'm sorry, but in France, and I'm not joking, in
Sure.
France, when there is a film from Quebec, when it's Quebecois, they put subtitles in
Oh
French
yeah, yeah, gotcha.
because French people cannot understand Quebecois French.
They
It's
do that sometimes in the UK
awful,
with
but
Scotland. Yeah, so
so
I was,
yeah,
in the UK with Scotland sometimes, but yeah, I mean, I know it's sort of a different language, but it's pretty. Like Quebec City's a bit like Normandy, but with Mounties. You know?
I would love that.
Yeah.
Really, like Normandy.
I mean, what I imagine, like you might want to research for yourself. You know what I mean? Like,
And,
but it's gorgeous. I mean, there's a really famous hotel there that we stay at called Chateau Frontenac, and it's up on,
okay.
and it overlooks the St. Lawrence River, and it's surrounded by these stone. This entire town is made of stone, and there's just really romantic restaurants and quaint shops and everything else. It's just really lovely.
Right. Actually, Normandy, I went to last year,
Okay.
and I decided that this is going to be the place that I'm going to retire. I
Oh,
knew it
wow,
right then.
wow,
Love at first sight. Yes, yes.
very nice.
It's a lovely place. It's got the cliffs. It's got that little bit of a dark, kind of cliffy beach
Oh
with
yes.
white sweaters and fireplaces and a little bit of dark academia to it. You would love it.
Sure. No, that sounds like my aesthetic right there. I mean,
Yeah.
there's my wife and I go to Cornwall quite a bit, and it's a bit like that, like very ancient feeling, a lot of cliffs, a lot of
Right.
pubs with fireplaces, and we stay at this place called the White Cottage, which is an old Fisher cottage, and it's very romantic. So I could certainly see the appeal to that. That's brilliant.
Yeah. Well, for me though, I would love to go and see Canada, just generally, but also the French side, because I don't know, it's like a sister place that I haven't seen yet, and I think it would
Sure.
be fascinating to talk to people to see what they're like, what the what came over from France, but also what didn't, and
Oh
how it
yeah.
changed. And I think it would be fascinating to see that sort of thing. Um, and I always think about that in terms of countries who share a history or a language, because somehow, somewhere they separate,
Yes.
and then how that language evolves and the culture evolves is a very interesting thing to observe, I think.
It is. What
Yeah.
what was the famous saying about the English and the Americans? Two people separated by a common language.
Ah, yeah.
Right.
Indeed.
Have you been to the US?
I have a couple of times, but I have to say, not not everywhere. I've only been to Miami and to New York.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Miami's fun. Miami's one of my favorite.
Miami's fun, yes.
Yeah.
It is fun.
And New York
And
is just amazing. It's a quite a
uh,
city.
yes, I mean, I think there are very few places on the planet where you feel like you're walking onto a movie set. France, New
Yeah.
York, two of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point. Yeah, I think Paris and New York really share that because
Yeah.
Venice is more like gothic dreariness. And I say that affectionately because Venice is one of my favorite places. It's probably the place I've traveled to the most. And even
Sure.
London, for all its charm and its variety, it's not as cinematic as either New York or Paris. Paris does public spaces like few other cities.
I wonder why. What do you mean by public spaces? You mean like terraces and,
No, I mean more
outdoors?
like the like the Place de Concorde and the Champs Elysees.
Oh, right.
Like just
Right.
everything. And I know there was that architect that knocked down everyone's houses and redid
Osman.
Paris.
Yes.
What's his name? Because I
Yes.
forget.
Osman.
Husband. Yes, there. Thanks.
Yeah.
So there's a reason for it, but boy, what they accomplished visually in the center of Paris, and even keeping the skyscrapers in their own arrondissement. What? How do you say that?
Arrondissement. Arrondissement.
Arrondissement. Thank you. I would say neighborhood.
Arrondissement. Like
Oh,
making something round. Arrondissement.
oh, okay, perfect. Yeah, so that's really nice. It can have this financial section that's separate, so it didn't destroy the charm and the scale
Yeah.
of Paris.
What I enjoy about Paris most, I think, is that every I don't know, every bit that you go by, every neighborhood, and that doesn't mean that arrondissement even. A
Oh,
neighborhood
sure.
does not fit, the municipal
Right.
categorization. But all of them have their own, sorry, they're their own village. So they have this life happening, which is like you've got your shops, you've got the working people and the commercialized places and the offices, but then you have also life and schools, and everything is in its own little village. And I really love that about Paris.
Yeah,
And all of them have their own character also,
that
based on the people who
we don't have
who
a
live
lot of
there.
that here, sadly. That's the one thing that I
Yeah.
rue about the US. It's not down to scale. Everything is based
Mm.
around the automobile. And so everyone
Yeah.
has cars, and like cars are just not
Mm.
that good for anybody. And even the way our homes are sort of spaced out
Right.
in suburban sprawl, and not
Mm.
very pretty ones at that. Like it's kind of sad. Now New York certainly does. New York has its own areas and all that, and to a lesser extent Miami. I mean,
Mm.
if I lived in South Beach, I don't know if I'd ever leave. I really like that area. It's gritty enough to make me feel like I'm in a city, but then one of the most beautiful beaches in the world. It's a really interesting place.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that sounds lovely. But also, I don't know. For me, I think a lot of places are like that, built around the automobile. In
Yeah,
Paris, if you have a car, you're not from Paris. You either live on the suburbs, in the suburbs, or it's not seen as nice. In a lot of places, I've seen cars are seen a as a status symbol, where
Oh,
the
sure.
better, the more money, so therefore you are this or that. In Paris, it's not like that. If you have a car, you're not a Parisian.
Oh,
That's
wow.
it.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Yes, it's the exact opposite.
Well, that's good. That's how it should be. I know as I progress in
Yeah,
my career and everything, I'm trying to make my life simpler. And
yeah.
you get in a lot of trouble when you buy things just to impress other people, especially if it's a
That's
car.
ridiculous.
I know. And I
That's
always admired what I know of like the Parisian ideal that you choose really nice garments, but you don't have too many of them.
no.
So it's high
And
quality.
also, for me, for example, it's not just having money, but having money to buy things. That's the reason I quit my job last year,
Mhm.
because I felt I was in a zone where I started buying things just in order to be happy,
Uh,
and I
yeah,
didn't want that. Like, I don't care that about the money.
sure.
As long your happiness should not come from buying things.
No,
That's
no.
what, yeah,
And I fight that on my channel a little bit because when you review pens, and pens can be a luxury item.
of course, yes.
And it's really funny. Like I'm not a pen shop. Most pen reviewers, or I don't want to say many, but I don't want to say most, but many pen reviewers, and some of the most popular are stores. So they're not just showing it to you; they want you to buy it.
Of course, yeah.
So for me, it's about the experience, but it's really a fine line because I either have to borrow it or I have to own it to review it. So there is that
Mm.
sort of acquisition. And I do get a lot of free stuff too. People send stuff. Most,
That's lovely.
yeah, it's not bad.
So I hope that happens for me sometime.
Well, it's mostly for TikTok because over on TikTok, I have
Oh,
120,000 subscribers. And
awesome.
a lot of like pen companies send pens. But what's nice about that, which really helps my YouTube, is they send them so that I make TikToks. So once I
Ah,
do, my responsibility is over. So then I can take them and make YouTubes, and it's not sponsored content because I already
right.
filled that. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's pretty
Ah,
nice. But I do feel guilty
interesting.
because I feel like I'm propagating this idea that you're not cool unless you have the Mont Blanc 149, the
Oh, yeah.
$900 pen, or what have you. And it's not that way. I mean, I tell people, I'm like, look, the pen costs almost $1,000, but if you want it, get it used because it's going to look like that anyway, in 2 weeks. It
Yes,
sounds crazy, but if you're really into
that's true.
writing, it's like, and it's hard, value. You're talking about dictating into your phone and writing things on your phone. Recently, I wrote that, value propositions is rationalization because it really
Right.
you argue several sides. So, but
Mm,
the sad fact is, if you want that pen and you want that experience, that's what you have to pay. So it's you
yeah.
or you don't, and that's okay. You can choose not to. There's $30 pens that are great.
Well, I mean, I steal my pens everywhere.
Yeah.
Beware bankers, because I steal all the pens.
Oh yeah.
But but actually, it's interesting that you say that, because one of the things that I've been trying to hold on to is sincerity, and I think that's your thing as well. And when it comes to, I've already been contacted to do, a bit of promotion for different things. But it's also like, what I want to promote, I want to, or like show people,
Hmm.
I would much rather it being something that I really actually use myself, or actually think it's a good idea for people to have, rather than being a, advertising person. That's, it, I cannot gel that with my own personality at this moment anyway.
Yeah, it's
I'm
hard. I've done
trying to
one
be.
promotional and it was more of a misunderstanding. I thought the company sent me a free pen, and then at the end they're like, "Okay, when are you going to pay for the pen?"
Wow.
And I was like, "Okay, well, these things happen, I suppose." That's so
Yeah.
funny. But like,
Yeah.
I don't see anything wrong with it necessarily. I mean, YouTube is a platform. You have a platform. If somebody, sent you a bottle of wine or something, that's the first thing that came to my mind, and it's based where you happen to be at the time, and you liked it. there's nothing wrong with that. I think, especially if they put a few dollars in your pocket, because it's now your full time job, and as long as
That's true, yeah.
it's transparent, and you tell people. Transparency
Mm,
is huge on my channel. My the people who follow the channel, they hear everything. Like I tell them, I told them weeks in advance that this was going to happen. So
mm.
I think it makes it a little more interesting if they can see what's going on. I think.
It's true, it's true. But there's also that thing, and I'm very much aware of the time, but I'm
Yeah,
having fun with this. So
I know, me too. Because I was going to cut us off I was actually thinking we'd do a half hour, and then we went to an hour. And usually an hour is when I cut off my own show. So, and
oh,
I don't want to wear
okay.
you out, but
No,
I am having
I'm really
fun.
having fun. I have my wine. You are a
Okay.
good conversationalist, and
Me
the
too.
topic is
My glasses got a
interesting.
little small, but I'm doing okay.
But the thing is that for me, for example, a lot of it is about that sincerity thing is something that has to be managed, but also how much you put out parts of yourself, like your personal life. I had this conversation with another YouTuber who was so nice to answer me actually recently. And the thing was like, what do you do? Because people want to know more. And this person was telling me that, they will always want more. You cannot retract things once you put
Yes.
them out. So how much of it do you put out? And
Yeah.
that's a whole, because you're trying to be, it's a fine balance, isn't it?
Hmm.
Because you're trying to be sincere and yourself, but at the same time, how much of yourself? How much of yourself are you willing
Right.
to put out there and talk about? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it's whatever you prescribe that to be. You set your boundary.
Yeah.
Like we talked about this in email, you and me, about which names to use because I use Normandy internet, and
Yeah.
but the only reason I use it is that I have my banker life. So
Mm,
if I did this, it would confuse that because people who are
yeah.
looking for me personally are looking for a commercial loan. They're not looking for a pen.
Exactly.
So that's why I have the persona. But the wall between is pretty thin because I write articles under my own name that are also
Yeah.
linked to the channel. So anybody who wants to figure it out could figure it out pretty easy. So,
Yeah.
but
Exactly.
but I'm
And,
comfortable with that.
but at the same time, for me, what I've understood from the data you get, which is
Sure,
awesome
it
on
is right.
YouTube, it's so detailed. Don't freak out, people. It's okay. Like, we don't know about you specifically, just like in general.
Yes, it tells
And
us analytics about
yeah,
like which moments of our videos are popular and where people fall
exactly.
off and things like that.
So for me, it's like when I've seen it jump up in terms
Hmm.
of popularity, the moments are the moments that I'm most myself. That
Oh,
it's just
nice.
like the things that have happened off the cuff and I'm just laughing about it and things like that. So it's interesting to see what people want to see, but also managing that. Yeah.
Yes, some of that is viewable to people with like the Apple. I forget what it's called, Apple TV or whatever that's called.
Mm.
Because if you go and you pause a video, it will show you a little graph of which moments are popular within the video,
Mm-hmm.
um, which is interesting. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've seen that. Yeah.
but the analytics are surprising. What
It's
percentage drops off in the first 30 seconds for you? Because let me tell you first. For me, it's about like 30% drop out in the first
I wouldn't be able to
30
tell you.
seconds. And it's like, and so sometimes I try to go right into the content. When I had my longer um, credits that I run on the live show here, and I just do that because I need time. I always get really nervous,
Yeah,
but
I know, me too.
yeah, right. And then I'm fine once it starts.
Yeah.
But when I did the credits before on my regular channel, it would just like boom, just drop like 40%.
Wow. That's 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 hard,
It's hard.
That's,
Yeah. Yeah, it
yeah.
really is.
That's hard on the ego, yeah. But yeah, I've seen that also. Um, it's becoming, what's interesting is that it drops off. But recently for me, what's been good is that it doesn't drop off more afterwards. It just kind of keeps going
Yes,
throughout the video.
exactly.
Yeah,
And then people drop off once the
appreciate
thing comes up. Yeah, it's nice, you know? But you're also good at kind of saying, stay tuned to the end of the video and I'll tell you what the 10 signs are that you're Parisian or what have you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's,
That's
well, it's storytelling, isn't it?
it is.
Watch
It
the
is.
video.
A little hook.
Yeah. Anyway,
Well, good stuff.
um, I'm very sorry, but my cat has decided to go crazy.
That's okay. It might be a good time. Maybe we'll leave it here. We said a lot. You know,
Okay.
it was wonderful to have you on. I wish
It
you
was
and your
lovely to
channel.
speak with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I wish you and your channel all the success. I
Yeah.
think you're going to do great. If there's anything I can do to help, I'm sure you're going to lap me in like a month, but that's okay. I just want to see you
Oh no,
grow.
don't say that,
I'm in a
please.
very small meet,
You
so
will always be the first person who showed me live. Voila.
thank you. No, I appreciate that. And if I can help with anything, just, happy to. And we'll have you back. So it's really great. So keep
Yes,
in
I would love
touch
that.
and wish you all the best.
You too. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
Yeah. Thanks,
I hope you
everyone.
had fun.
I think they did. They said a
And
lot of nice stuff. I would have put questions up, but
I
nobody asked
didn't
any
see
questions.
anything, but
I
I'm gonna
know. I
leave
didn't
them
see any
after
questions
this.
either, but that's okay. We'll have you back and we'll do questions.
Inshallah. Okay. Thank
Okay.
you
All
very
right.
much.
Take care. Thanks again. Bye bye.
Have a nice evening. Bye.
You too. Bye bye.